We're going to call the meeting to order. Would you have a roll call, please?
They just introduce themselves, yes, sir.
Okay, you can do it by that. Do you know who you are?
Joe Wiggins.
And what else do you do?
I'm a general contractor and an attorney.
Okay,
Mike Boucher, roofing contractor and business owner.
Kenneth Vogel, electrical contractor.
okay. Wendell Hall, architect.
Leslie Davidson, engineer and real estate broker.
Patrick McQuiston, deputy building official.
Mike Brooks, plane reviewer.
Very good. All right, floor is yours.
I'm Steve Show from the Building Division Director.
But it's not recording because you're not talking into your mic.
Steve Schoaf, I'm the Building Division Director for Clay County.
Okay. And what do we need to do next?
We start at the top of the agenda is the approval of minutes for the last two meetings.
All right, those of you who have reviewed the minutes, is there any discussion with the minutes, or are they approved as read, or as presented? No, hearing no, then is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to
Moved, and a second, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, very good, motion is made and seconded to accept the minutes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries, all right.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is public comments. Any public that wishes to comment at this time? Okay. Any new business? Okay, pardon?
New board member.
Okay, we have Mike Butcher as our new board member. Mike, as he introduced himself, he's a roofer, local business owner. And he's gonna bring some good insight to us here.
I think so, it'll be good.
Next item that I would like to introduce, and this wasn't originally in the backup material, so we'll figure out how, the board wishes to handle this. We have a registered electrical contractor that, end of last week, I received a notification that he has been incarcerated. And it looks like a 10-year sentence. And it is a somewhat serious offense. Do you guys want to take that up at this meeting? Do we want to put it on a future agenda? I've got, I can go through an explanation of what it is and see what kind of, action we want to take on the current license.
Okay, would you go ahead and just talk about that?
Did you?
Well, I was gonna ask through the chair, I did a little research briefly on his company. Is he a private provider?
This is a different individual.
Okay,
This wasn't on the agenda backup material at all.
okay.
We had created that prior to me receiving this.
So this is not Mr. Marar? Okay.
Okay,
No, this is a separate item. Mr. Thayer was charged in 2022 in Duval County and convicted and sentenced in July of 25 of attempted manslaughter and shooting, throwing a missile at a building or a vehicle. He received a 10-year sentence and is currently incarcerated in the Panhandle at a medium security facility. He is a registered contractor, so he is under the guidance of this board. I'm not sure whether you would want to, would it be grounds for a revocation of license, maybe a suspension of license? If we merely suspended his license, then no one would be able to act kind of behind the scenes on his behalf. And when he is released, he would be able to come back before the board and ask for reinstatement if we were to look at something like that. So those are kind of our options at this point.
Question again, through the chair. Does he qualify an electrical company here
Yes.
that does work for him? And so it's not just him, it's a company?
Correct.
And they don't have a new register? Someone, no? Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the company basically needs another electrical engineer to qualify them?
Right, we would need another licensed contractor, yes.
Is the company aware of that?
I'm sure that they are. I haven't had any direct contact with this company. Like I said, this is fairly recent. So I'm not sure what their status is, but we have not received anything directly from this particular company. This wouldn't, any action on his license wouldn't necessarily affect, you're not making a decision on the corporate part of that. You would be making the decision on this particular qualifier. So if Mr. Vogel chose to qualify this company, could move forward and they could continue working as a corporate entity just with a different license holder.
Do they have any open permits in Clay County?
That's my
There is one permit that was applied for in April that has not been paid for. So it's not actually an issued permit. There is one much older permit that never got closed out, never got the final inspection on it. And those are the only two open permits that he has.
So he doesn't really have a staff doing work at this time that we're aware of?
It does not appear so, no.
Okay, I see.
I would make a motion then to suspend him and the company until such time that he is out and can reapply or go through the process you want, and/or the company has a new qualifier.
Would that be immediate, or would that be any time frame?
Well, I don't think you have, I mean, once they're suspended, do you have a process? If they're suspended X amount of time, they have to resubmit application? I would think they would have to resubmit application with the county anyway.
Well, they have a 2-year license renewal.
So he'd have to renew.
So something would have to happen at that point. Any action of the board, we have to write that up and submit that to the state, to DVPR. And they may have some different parameters there or some different things that they may wish to address.
He may be pulling his
They may
license.
be. Okay. Okay, sorry about that.
Talk louder. Would it be possible to grant the company 30 days to provide a new qualifier, or they're finished in the county until they can do so? Or is that not good?
It's not, and again, this is specifically looking at the license of the license holder as opposed to any type of a corporate.
So it doesn't matter.
Right, the corporation continue to exist forever.
Right.
As long as they do whatever corporate things they need to do. They just can't obtain any permits until they have a licensed qualifier to qualify the company.
So the April application that has not been paid for can't move forward then, can it?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. Then that would mean that the suspension, if it was to be approved, would be immediate to the individual,
Correct,
regardless of whatever the company chooses to do.
correct, yes, sir.
Okay. So your motion is still
My motion is to move forward with a suspension of the license. Yes.
immediately. All right, is there a second to this motion?
I'll second the motion as stated.
All right, that's good. All right, any further discussion of the motion? People making faces like they're thinking, or is that just a
Yeah.
show?
I'm trying to
No,
think.
I mean, I understand. I think the first motion was suspend the license and the company, but I think you amended that just for the license, so
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Just for the license, yes.
Just for the license, yes, sir.
Okay. Anything you want to mention? Yes. thinking, but you're not talking, right?
Yeah, I'm a little, so why was this brought to us, right? Is it because is a convicted felon, can't hold a license or?
The, sorry, the, with so our licensing parameters, 18, good moral character, and the experience.
So the moral
So
character,
the moral character part of that is where that's an issue.
right?
And obviously, he can't supervise the work from jail, which creates an additional issue. He is registered in 5 counties locally. And this information, if it goes to DBPR, will be forwarded to those other counties, which I would assume that they would make similar type actions. And again, by doing a suspension as opposed to a revocation does give him an opportunity,
Yes.
should he serve his sentence and come out and be able to plead his case before this board, that he can go back to work. I mean, it's not you have to go to work at McDonald's at this point. So that would seem
Great.
to be a reasonable.
Thank you. Yeah.
I would like to clarify, I made the motion because it's protection at the county level right now. And like Steve said, if he gets out, he can reapply and prove his case. But right now with that, he's probably gonna get in trouble with his PE license because that is against our ethics on the engineering board. So he may have that pulled as well, but this is just to protect on the local because yes, he can't pull permits and know what the proper scope is. He can't, inspect the work. He can't oversee the work. So it puts the public at risk right now.
Yes. All right. Any further discussion? Go
Is he
ahead.
a PE? Is he?
He's also a PE.
This individual
but-
is not.
Oh, that's not one I looked up.
We got-
No.
we-
So
we
he's
have-
just
we have
electrical,
two,
but
right.
that's still
Again, I
DBPR would
apologize,
probably.
we kind of snuck this one in on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
But,
he smoked them in on me. I haven't pulled the DBPR search on this one, but if he's registered with the GC electrical under DBPR, they most likely have the ethics, and if you commit a crime in any area, you have to report it, and
Yeah, no, I
They're all
get
the
it. I mean,
same.
At the most basic level, to me, in my eyes, we're saying suspension in Clay County. It's our recommendation up to the state. And that's,
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, we're gonna vote. I mean, the motion is that his license is suspended, and when he completes his sentence, he can reapply, and to have it reinstated, he can make a case for that. It's not automatic reinstatement. He has to apply and prove his case. All right? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
okay, our next,
Don't get no back away from that microphone there.
I gotta scoot over into the middle, I guess. Okay, our next case is a private provider that is performing, an engineer providing private provider inspection. Mr. Marr is in the room. We forwarded some of our backup documentation to you. It was provided to Mr. Marr as well. If we would like to go through each of the individual items, what we were doing, we can kind of show you and explain where what our problem is with what's happening with these inspections. I did include as well the deck statement from the Board of Professional Engineers that it is their feeling that he is an engineer, so he can do these things.
Okay?
Part of as we can go through these photographs, when the question came up and we were having the original discussions, we went back and looked at 5 jobs. The, kind of the latest 5 jobs that these inspections have been provided for. And, there were issues with each of those jobs. Some of them significantly more serious than others, in our opinion. Some less so. And we can go through these individually. As you want to pull up the photographs, I can explain to you what the code violations were and what the severity was and the reason we had a problem with each of these.
It might
if
be
that
good, good to go over those so that it's on the record,
Okay,
the official record.
okay. Okay. I also provided some statutory backup too in here and tried to highlight some of the particular sections. Something that is, prevalent in this as well is that the purpose of the building code and the purpose of these inspections is to provide for public safety. And the secondary is for protection of the building, okay? But it's public safety is job number 1 across the board. Protection of the building's job number 2. So the, that's what we're looking at. Additionally, these buildings are, the life expectancy of a building in the current environment is 80 to 100 years. The building doesn't cease to exist because there's a certificate of occupancy. So looking at these things and how they're going to work going forward, is one of the other considerations in looking at these and in the way that we perform these inspections. Okay, so, the first photograph that comes up, it's a door going in a handicapped restroom. The signage for it is in the middle of the door, okay? The design, when you use tactile signage, it is for the vision impaired. And that sign is located in a very specific location on the latch side of a door opening. It's there for a reason, so the individual that can't see goes up, feels the latch, this location on the door, this is the men's room, this is a unisex room. If it's in the middle of the door, it's not in the correct location, he doesn't know that. He goes up there, goes and thinks that's a closet. So there's no access. The last update for the accessibility code was 2012. So this is not a new requirement.
That's correct.
Many years ago, this was an acceptable location, but it changed in the 2010 version of the accessibility code, I do believe. Okay. Same particular building. We have a water heater set overhead over a single 2x4 top plate. If this is, say, a 20-gallon water heater, 250 to 300 pounds when it's full. Having that overhead not properly secured, or if it's not spread out across a couple of walls, there's not it's a potentially dangerous circumstance. It's the water heater setting on 3 2x4s on there's no apparent fastener from underneath that you can see. We don't really know how these are attached. But we're going into a completed building, looking at these items where these were signed off, ready for occupancy in this particular building. And these are, this is a commercial application.
Were there any plans specifying how it should have been?
No, ma'am.
Just curious, 2x4s are on edge, they're not flat, right?
They're flat.
They're flat?
Yes, sir.
What's the span?
Um,
You ever take a 1/4 inch?
it appears to be built kind of as a non-bearing type wall. It's a single top plate, and then the 3 2x4s are flat ways perpendicular on top of that. And it does appear that the wall is in the center of where the water heater is.
Okay.
Moving forward with this same one, we have a completed building. We have an exterior patio with bare conductors hanging out a wall. No box, no wire nut, no, it's not like it was there and someone pulled the device off of it. There's never been a device mounted on this. And this is, a final inspection had been performed on this particular building. There were others in this same building where there was a device that was pulled out away from the wall. That's a normal process. You're gonna pull that out if you got a paint around it or something like that. You wanna be thankful that the painter kinda took that loose so he didn't get paint all over the device, but that's not this particular situation here. Got in that same general location, we've got another, with the boxes mounted to the exterior wall, but we again have bare conductors, no wire nuts, no device, and no indication that there had ever been one. A separate commercial building, we had a plumbing final done on this particular building. These photographs were taken how long after the final was approved? Okay, so we've got a plumbing final and the lavatories and the accessible restroom are not set and had not been set. You still have the caps on the plumbing pipes coming out of the wall. So it's an accessible restroom, so you can't measure locations, is it in the right place, is any of those things. In an accessible restroom, you have protections that go under the lav that have to be in place. And again, this particular final had been signed off when it was obviously
No
not,
sink, just no sink there, just the,
no sink at all. The brackets are there for a wall hung lav, but the plumbing had never been connected to any of this. And in some of the other photos, the lavs were still in the box on site. Okay, here's the other restroom in the same building with the same circumstance.
It's all the
And
same building?
this is two different
this
buildings.
was a second spot. So we had 5 different jobs that we went to.
Okay,
on these.
5 separate jobs.
Right.
Okay.
In with these other photographs, we have the listing of the inspections and when they were completed, when the results were sent to us that came from the private provider.
Was it the same GC for every row? 5 years?
For these first 2 jobs, yes.
Were there permit cards on the job site showing that there was a physical sign off as well?
No.
Okay, so you don't know if there was actually a physical inspection performed?
No, the way that we have to handle our private provider inspections, they send us a notice the day before that they're going to do the inspection, and then we get the result the following day.
Right.
Following picture we've got of, again, this is the same one that had the plumbing issues. We had a final mechanical inspection. We've got ductwork with the only support is where it's going across the bar joist, and it is almost completely collapsed in 2 different locations. No additional support, none of those kind of things on this, and this final was signed off on.
Steve, I think that one was a mechanical rough inspection. That was a 491 Blanding
okay.
Boulevard, and that was a mechanical rough.
All right. So, sorry, I'm on to job 3 then. So this one was just a rough, this one wasn't a final. Okay, so we had the issue with the ductwork. We had inspections on slab repair. And there are multiple locations in the same building that slab is steel cut, some exposed reinforcing, no vapor barrier, trash in it. So we've signed off on a slab inspection that it is not ready to place the concrete in again. And this is in multiple locations in this same building. And again, there is immediately following these pictures, a listing of the inspections that were resulted for that particular job. Okay. All right, so we get to a residential project. Okay, this particular job, the private provider, the only past result we have is for a rough electrical. The building started out as an owner contractor. It was permitted as a single-story structure. What started as a pole barn that then was going to be built out into a residence. The foundation for the pole barn happened prior to the contractor, the current contractor, taking over the job and hiring the private provider to do the inspections. The county did the foundation inspection for the pole barn. So they kind of picked it up as it was moving on. So in going through, we have a building that is framed up. The mechanical, electric, plumbing roughs are in place. We still have the single inspection. We go to the building and there is insulation and drywall being hung. There are numerous locations that we don't have any fire blocking. The fire caulking is not complete. The fire caulking is done with a non-intumescent type product. Okay.
Not fire caulk then.
So it's incorrect, and it actually creates an additional fire load as opposed to doing what it should do. We still do not have, now there is an intermediate floor that's been built into this building. So we don't have an approved set of drawings for the building. We still don't have an approved set of drawings for the building. When we met with the private provider and the contractor to get this squared away, there have been 5 submittals, I think, on this. So, and as I looked Friday, we still did not have an approved set of drawings for this. And again, the building is insulated with no approved plans and some drywall on it. So this one may be a contractor issue more than it is the private provider.
It's a kind of a both
It's kind-
situation.
we're-
Is there a
we're-
stop work order on the building?
Pardon?
Is there a stop work
Yes.
order?
Yes, yes. So that may be the next place that this goes, is that we, have some action with the contractor. Again, from the private provider, we have an approved rough electrical. That's all we have. So there are numerous problems in this. I don't necessarily know that it is, this one makes it a little more difficult this is probably more of a contractor thing than this is an inspector deal. But, it's just seems to be somewhat consistent with the other things that we've found. Additionally, with the plans on this, there are porch additions that are going on that aren't reflected on the plans. And we don't have any inspection results on any of those items as well. And the photographs show the intermediate floor.
Sorry.
Sorry,
I'm working on it, sorry.
trying to get some pictures up for us.
Yeah, and I'm trying to print you guys copies. I didn't realize you guys.
And again, the photographs in here show insulation, show the, so again, this is kind of, we'll kind of roll through here. So again, we've got an intermediate floor, we've got an insulated building, we have these items kind of moving forward. Here's where use the great stuff as opposed to an actual intumescent, fire caulking. Open voids with plumbing going through, nothing around the windows, no foam, no any of those kind of things. More incorrect, fire caulking. We can kind of go back up to a couple of these that this particular photograph here, we've got looks like an exhaust duct with no type of fire blocking, fire stop on this. So any flame that happens in there, you've got electrical receptacles there. If we have a short, if there's an ignition source, it's a direct draft into the floor system. Additionally, with the one problem we did have and that caused us a little bit of pause with moving forward with this, we had a signed off rough electrical inspection, and we 3 weeks later had the electrical contractor in there pulling wires again. So we're not sure what and again, here's the one that has the same location, but with the building insulated now, that there's no draft stop, none of that, no kind of fire caulk, none of these things in this. Still open penetrations. And again, this is approximately 3 weeks after the electrical roof was signed off. This was just happening. This was just being installed. This was general email correspondence back and forth. And again, all of these were in this package. This is where we're asking, what inspections had been performed, and this is where we were told that we had just done the electrical, or that they had just done the electrical rough. These are some of kind of a standard boilerplate past inspection type results. This particular one, we got a plumbing top out that's shown on that same residence that we were just doing. So electrical rough, mechanical rough. So these had gone on with, still with no approved plans on the job. There's no plans to look at when you're doing your inspection. Okay, so these are some of the correction notices on the current plan review. As you can see, many, many pages of problems trying to get these plans squared away. So say currently we still don't have an approved set of plans on this job, and you can see how far it has progressed.
The owner is still actively involved in the project?
The owner, not so much. They did hire a licensed individual as a contractor to complete this. Right.
Okay.
So
Who is the contractor?
Premier America. Last item that we had this particular one, we've got a letter on, Lakeshore Drive North. Basically, it's, the engineer's letter that's written at, and yeah, I've inspected these things, I've looked at this stuff, and it's all code compliant. At the time we received this letter, we had been in contact with this particular homeowner that the job was done. They had a contractor and they were dissatisfied with them and fired them towards the beginning of the job, completed the job without any further inspections. And, as we were kind of going back and forth with them how to solve this, we would receive a letter that we looked at everything and it was good. And that, because of the conversations we'd had, we said that that wasn't really acceptable. And the last page on this is, findings of our inspector, numerous items that are incorrect. A lot of this is plumbing, no hammer arresters, no, what other kind of items do we have? Hammer arresters, incorrect fittings, wrong type of P-traps, penetrations not sealed, just a number of things, problems with arc fault protection. And this is following a letter from the private provider as an engineer stating that these things are all correct. It's a, and again, where our bringing this to you is a general, we looked at 5 jobs, and each of the 5 jobs had serious issues that had not been addressed or not been correctly addressed. So our suggestion, we needed some additional training, that this individual should go forward and possibly work towards getting his actual license to do inspections and avail himself some additional training there. Because the things that are missed on these, and it's a general, seems to be a general attitude or a general view that either we're not sure what we're looking at, or the focus seems to be more on that I'm working for the contractor as opposed to the public safety aspect of this. And that is the source of our angst on all of this, is that there are things that are missed that could be catastrophic. Had we gone through these 5 jobs and there's something like the sign on the door, on the accessible door, and you have a couple little minor items like that, we have met with private providers in many occasions. We go on site, hey, you guys seem to be kind of missing this. And we'll meet, gather up there, go over these things, get everybody on the same page. If there were some minor items like that in each of these, we would have done that. And we really wouldn't be here. But if every job we go to has the same kind of issues that are either, I don't know, or I don't care kind of things, that we kind of need to address these items. A little disappointed with the Board of Professional Engineers. Their deck statement was referred more to the private provider's ability to operate as a business than, again, public safety type deal. And so that's kind of the end of our case. And that's the reasoning behind this and the logic behind this, and where our particular angst is on this.
All right. And what's his name? All right.
Mr. Marar.
I'm Wendell Hall. How do you spell your name?
My name is Ali Marar.
Can you spell it, your last name?
Marar.
Farrar. Very good. And I'm sure there's some things you would like to tell us.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
First off, good afternoon. Thank you all for your service. I extend that to the Clay County staff as well. I respect, everybody's time and commitment towards the welfare of the public safety. I just want to throw that out there. My goal here is not to objectively work, and that is unfortunately something that we deal with in the private provider world, is that typically because we're working for the contractor, the interest of the public welfare is not in our interest, if you will. But that, I don't think, at least for me, I don't believe that. I believe that public welfare and the safety of the public welfare is number one. This came up on August 14, 2025. I received an email from one of my staff at that time asking me for my BN number, which is the standard inspector number. And he actually called me up and he said, "Hey, what is a BN number?" Because he's not familiar with that. He works for me, as an office administrator.
Right.
And I said, "Well, I don't know what a BN number is." And then a few hours later, I'm pulling up my email and I see an email from him from the Clay County Building Department requesting the BN number. And then kind of it lit up that this is what they're requesting. I replied back to the email stating that I was a licensed engineer in the state of Florida and that I was practicing private provider under 553.791. It's the statute that regulates the private provider. Few days later, myself, Mr. Steve, Mr. Pat, and Robin was there, and Mr. John from the Green Cove Building Department. We met at the building department. We kind of, at that time, I guess, some of these findings were not there. This was just a discussion that we were having about whether, as a licensed engineer, we are qualified to work as private providers and providing inspection services. As far as I understand, a registered engineer in the state of Florida or a registered architect do not need any additional licensure to provide private provider services in the state. Okay. Essentially, as a licensed engineer by definition or architect, one can own and perform plan review and private inspection services as per the statute. I think we had a little bit of misunderstanding during that meeting, and it was actually myself that requested to be part of this meeting today. And to be honest with you, I actually came, I did not want to send a last minute email, so I came here and I had a note that I wanted to withdraw my request from being part of today's meeting. And respectfully, the reason for that was based on my research and my understanding of this licensing board, it's more for a contractor licensing issue. It is not essentially a licensing platform for engineers that are, I guess, licensed engineers. But respectfully, we are here, and go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, we may not be the DBPR, the state, but the building department is within full rights to submit a complaint for negligence against your engineering license. I myself have done it many times in the city of Jacksonville.
I understand, and that is absolutely correct. And I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate that complaint or not going through. I appreciate Mr. Steve's time and diligence to work with me. At that time, because there was a misunderstanding between are we or are we not allowed to practice, if you will, let's put like the matter of negligence on the side, but as a statutory item, can an engineer practice private provider? I reached out to the state for further or actually to the board excuse me, for further clarification, and that was, that was the petition that I wrote and sent to the state at that time. Now, I know that I know that there was I don't want to call it an audit, because I did ask Mr. Pat if it was like a formal audit and if there were any findings, but all of the findings that are presented in today's meeting, I've only came to find out on Friday afternoon when Mr. Steve sent out the agenda and included me in today's meeting. So prior to that, I was not aware of any of these findings. From my understanding, today's meeting was not to discuss these findings. It was to discuss whether a licensed engineer can provide private provider services in the state.
Are you the one performing the inspections, or do you have staff that is performing the
I am
inspections?
physically performing the inspections as of right now. So I just wanted to, clarify why I requested to be in today's meeting. Now, I did go through the photos and the report, if you will, that was submitted as part of today's agenda. And I would like to clarify one question before we go into, I don't want this to be a rebuttal of the photos, because the photos are the photos. I just wanted to kind of touch up on some things, but I did have a question. So number one is, as a licensed engineer in the state of Florida, am I allowed to perform private provider services without any additional licensure through the statute 468 that governs building officials and administrators and licensed inspectors and examiners? I just want to get that clarification before I, kind of discuss the photos, if you will.
I haven't studied that, so I don't have an answer for that
Okay,
question.
so we can just move on. That was one of the questions I had, and I think that was kind of one of the key points why I reached out to the Board of
I
Engineers.
believe private engineers can act as private providers, but without the additional inspector license. However, you have to be competent in that, because you are doing work not under your engineering Florida statute, but under the Florida statute of the inspections. And clearly here, you're not showing a competency. I see sloppy work. It's either negligent because you don't know the items, or you are working for a contractor and signing off on things that should not be signed off on. I don't know if it's because you don't want to tell an engineer of record that they need to provide a design and a letter for something or address an issue, or if you're giving the contractor free range. But either of these items, that's not what you should be doing. As an engineer, you need to get tougher, because if you don't, you need to get out. You will lose your license.
Absolutely.
Because there are things that are passing that may not seem like they're a big deal, but they will address public harm by public safety, public financial problems. The fire safety in a couple items here is a key item, which is very dangerous. That could be loss of life. So these are very serious things that if you're going to do inspections as an engineer, you're going to have to be competent in those areas. There are areas that I, as a structural engineer, with 10 years of managing building inspectors and private providers, wouldn't do on my own, because I don't feel I'm up competent enough to be the person on the ground. And if you have staff doing it, they need to be licensed, and you need to have oversight, because at the end of the day, this all comes back to your license. And in the state of Florida, an engineer can be sued for their liability, personal home included. It goes all the way. So I'm not lecturing just to beat up, but for a lesson moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to discuss the 5 jobs and kind of just to put things in perspective. The job at 1660 Jeremiah Street, There was actually two build-outs that were being completed, not by me, but by the contractor. There was Suite 201 and then Suite 202. It is, I think they're opening this week. It is the Añejo and the Verde Vita build-outs. They turned out beautiful. Unfortunately, I was not able to complete the inspections because of the misunderstanding whether a licensed engineer can, so halfway, when I was advised on August 16th about this matter, I was no longer able to perform any inspections. So it was then that I had to reach out to additional private providers to complete my work, because I was unable to complete the work that I was assigned to do. Those two build-outs, there were electrical and plumbing finals that were passed in an email. And then shortly after, I sent in another email requesting that everything be updated, but the electrical and plumbing finals that was sent by accident. And if you look at the inspection record, those inspections were never passed. Everything was passed but the electrical and plumbing final. And I think that kind of clarifies whether the sink and the receptacles were installed or not. Obviously, like, that is an error on our end to submit those, but we tried to go back immediately and revise that. Not saying it's correct, but a lot of copy and paste happens in the office, and at times, we just need to fix that on our end and not do that anymore. So I just kind of want to clarify how that happened. So it's not that we passed. I think the contractor that did these two jobs has a really good reputation. We've done at least 15 restaurants together in the state, actually. So I just wanted to throw that out there in regards to that one. I think that kind of clarifies that. In regards to the first one with the ADA sign and the water heater, I was not aware of the water heater situation. That was something that I recognized in the photo. So that is on me. That I'll take the blame for that one. Matter of fact, when I leave here, I want to go and look at it in person. If something needs to be corrected, I will take responsibility of taking care of that. The ADA sign, I want to throw this out there because I am a building contractor and I came out of the tenant build-out world. We put those signs up, and the moment you leave, especially the tactile exit signs that we put on the glass, once the heat hits them, they melt and they fall on the floor. And then people pick them up, and but nevertheless, it is put in the wrong location, and we need to take care of that. Now, the project on Gathering Point, I think that's the one that we scrolled most of the photos. I think this is the one at that time when myself, the contractor, Chris Turner, who I think is a really good contractor, I've done a lot of his work as well. We met at the Clay County Building Department probably 2 to 3 weeks prior to us meeting in August about the PE versus state licensure for inspection dilemma. And I think it was only then that it came to my attention that job had underlying problems. I physically went out and inspected the job, and I was really disappointed to recognize that after I left and I resulted, I think it was the plumbing top out, and it was the electrical rough and the mechanical rough. I did not result anything for the insulation because it was not completed, and I believe we did a framing inspection. I was really disappointed to see that they went back and did additional work after the fact that was something that was inspected. Now, nevertheless, I think that is a dilemma that everybody deals with in the construction world, because sometimes the things pass and then it's drywall time. And in this case, it was not, because they still had the insulation inspection. And then owners, and there was another outlying issue here was I guess this was like part of a big family preservation where multiple siblings and families were living on a big piece of land that was cut up or inherited through others. And so the owner was living in his RV right outside of the premise of this home. So it seems like he's there on a daily basis. And there must have been a conversation between them and the contractors that they wanted to add some electrical lighting, some whatnot. Now, during the meeting that when we had at the building department, I was surprised to find out that the building plans that we were inspecting upon, and even the contractor who was doing the job, did not recognize that. And I can't speak to his integrity, but we did not know that we were working off the wrong set of plans. And that was because the Clay County Building Department had already issued the permit based on a barn dominium that was single story. And then after that, revisions, and if you go at that time when I went on the Clay County Building Department's website, the plans that we were inspecting for the 2-story were on there. Now, they weren't stamped, which that, but my expectation is if I download something, if I have an issued permit and I download a permit off of the county website, my assumption is that they must have been approved if the permit was paid for. Nevertheless, we did come to find out that the plans were not correct. And I think until this day, and that's why there was a report of the plan review comments, that they are working on getting those reapproved, or I think the screen one, I don't know if that makes a difference.
Ours has gone into.
Yeah, it was then that sorry, that threw me off. It was then that they revised the new set of plans, and from I last heard was they still don't have a permit on the revised set, and that they have a new engineer working on getting the plans approved. So as for the foam and the the fire foam and the fire caulking, I call it. And that was something that I don't say I learned, but let's say for the lack of words, I learned over the weekend after I was able to see the photos. That is actually something that is on me, but typically I inspect the fire caulking and the foaming during the insulation inspection upon the windows and all of the penetrations. But again, they went back and they made additional penetrations for additional items that
How
were
do you
not part of.
properly inspect after it's been insulated? Because usually fire caulk is at the framing section.
You could see it from the top.
You don't see everything.
You are correct.
And if you are acting as a building inspector, the fire caulk and all those code required items are in the Florida Building Code, and inspectors are trained for that.
Correct. That is something that is completed during the framing inspection. Now, again, they went back and they performed additional work, which I haven't been there since the meeting that we had, because at that point, there was no sense of me going back if the permit still has not been issued, and then a stop work order was issued to that job. I don't think, at least from my end, I'm grateful what happened for that job, because else that home would have been completed before we came to find out anything moving forward. So, and I guess lastly, the project with the slab inspection. When I went out there and physically performed the inspections at 491, I recall them having the plastic. And that was a conversation I had with the contractor. I called him up on Saturday. Again, I'm no longer the private provider on that job. He told me they removed the plastic after I left because they were in the process of they were gonna pour another slab above the slab. Because this used to be the old Hardee's, and they have a lot of floor penetrations, and the floors have slopes for all the floor drains. So they wanted to basically cap and pour another slab. That's why that happened. Now, I'm not trying to defend anything, but you know, a lot of times I inspect things and things happen after the fact, but I can't necessarily take responsibility for I would say negligence on behalf of the contractor after I leave. I mean, that slab, we passed that slab, and that slab till this date, not till this day, I'm sorry, till the date of the photo, I haven't been back there, it has not been poured yet. And that was probably like 2-3 months. I think we passed that slab, on 7/28, and I don't think the building department did not go out there until sometime in September,
I think those pictures were taken on August 20th.
August 20th? Okay, I don't know. And as far as the report for the Lakeshore Drive home, I physically went out there, and that was in the affidavit I wrote. I went back and looked at the permit, and it seems like they're still doing work there, so I can't speak on behalf of any work that happened. That my affidavit was written on March 20th, 2024. So it's been about a year and 6 months, and that permit has still been open, so I really don't have much to say about that. But I think this has taught me a lesson, number one, that I need to be beyond careful moving forward. I think I need to, I actually took Mr. Steve up, and I took the ICC testing for standard inspector, which is, I guess, a commercial inspector. I did take the, as part of when you buy the examination, they throw in the, a class. So I did take the class for the standard inspector. I also took the mechanical exam. I passed the mechanical exam, and I was in the process of taking the electrical and plumbing, but the electrical exam, they don't do the digital book, so I had to buy one, and then this all came up to be. So I am fairly busy, but I am in the process of learning too. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I have a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and I also am currently a PhD student at the University of Maryland part-time for fire protection engineering. So, my parents raised me to always be open-minded and learn. I apologize for any inconvenience. I've also been inconvenienced by this, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that as an excuse. I've had to come out of pocket just to hire others to complete my work at a fee more than I charge my customer. And it was embarrassing, so I couldn't go back and bill my customer for for what I had to pay. I even reached out to an attorney just for, my clarification if I'm working within my rights. The last thing I want to do is be performing this service and not be authorized by the state to do something like that. So
Again, I'm going to highlight that it's not just working within your rights, but it's working competently.
absolutely.
And this is not showing competence.
Absolutely. I mean, 100% with you. I 100% agree. And like I said, when I came here, my request was to withdraw it because, not my request, my intent was to come here and withdraw the case because I was more so dealing with the idea of working within my rights versus working competently in the beginning. Now it's become a matter of competence. I hope, and I asked this to the Clay County building staff, I hope that they allow me to, redeem myself and be able to work. I do want to physically go out to all these jobs and make sure everything is done properly. The water heater concerns me. I'm, once I leave here on my way back, you know, I've done this, you know, a lot of people question it, but I am 31 years old and people ask me, how did you, you know, but I got my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering when I turned 19. So I've been doing this for 12 years. I was in the design world. I did that. I worked for JEA for 3 years. I worked for Reynolds Smith and Hills for 5 years. I traveled the world building data centers or managing data center build-outs, very mechanically, electrically, and plumbing heavy, not very much architecturally. I mean, I'm here. I don't know, like, seeing these photos is embarrassing to me, you know. I'm not necessarily like fond of it, but I'm here. You know, I respect everybody's time and your efforts you put within being on these committees. I myself am a planning commissioner in the city of Jacksonville, and I know it is a lot of time, and I just want to redeem myself. I don't know how else to put it.
Through the
You know?
chair.
Yes.
Do we want to ask Steve or Pat or anyone with the building department if they have any more comments
Do
on
you have
what
any?
goals they wish to achieve today?
My thoughts on this were part of, introducing this to the board is to get a little more of an outside opinion, on, are we on point with these complaints? It does, or am I being overzealous on this? Again, I feel that these are significant issues and they are things that have happened. They've happened on the few jobs that we've looked at. He's inspected many jobs, so we don't really know what else is out there. I mean, yeah, okay, I want to get the training and do better moving forward. That's fine, but you know, it's kind of at the pleasure of the board how we move forward with this. To be perfectly honest with you, I am looking to you guys to provide me with the guidance at this point.
I noticed that there are times, many times, that we all miss things, and then we have to take corrective action. And I believe that Mr. Marara is intent on making corrective action, and it does appear to that way to me. It's unfortunate these things were missed. I'm glad that the county caught them. It's important that that means continues to do that. But I believe that he's seen the issue and is willing to make amends and to prove that he can do a more competent job. And his competence will improve with his experience. And I believe that he should be permitted to continue, but he also should work closely with the building department now to correct these issues and make sure that they are corrected. And to seek out any others that may be still lurking out there. He should be very diligent and look out for public safety as he works.
I have a couple questions, if I may.
Yes.
Are you a private provider in any other jurisdictions?
Oh, okay, sorry, I saw him reach out, I didn't, okay. Yes, I work in Duval County. All of Northeast Florida, from Nassau to St. John's or St. Augustine Beach, because they're more south. And then I also work in Clay County. There are a few jobs that I do outside of Northeast Florida. But those are on a select basis because I do have some contractors I support in town that do outside jobs. We do quite a considerable amount in Duval County just because that's where I'm based out of.
How many jobs have you done besides these 5 in Clay
Clay?
County?
I don't have that in front of me, but total maybe in all of my career in Clay County, maybe 20, 25. I don't think it's more than that. If the staff may know, I don't know, but I don't think more than 25.
And how many different GCs do you do this for in Clay County? Are you tied to like,
In
like
Clay
3
County
right, in
or
Clay
outside
County?
of Clay County?
No, I'm just for Clay
Well,
right now.
most of my customers are Jacksonville based. It is then that they get jobs, and I think only Premier American Construction, which right now they're doing, I think it's a new Valvoline or Take 5 that I wasn't able to do. Marcy Construction Group, actually, he's been emailing me about doing the VA clinic renovation, and I've kind of advised him that I'm on hold right now in Clay County until further discussion. So told him I would. So I do like, if you guys are familiar with like tenant contractors, I do some work with Davlin. I do work for Marcy. I work with Premier American Construction. I would say most of my work is for commercial contractors and where we do predominantly tenant build-outs. JVI, who is the Añejo and Verde Vida, I think that build-out turned out spectacular. I mean, I have a lot of contractors, I just can't come to them. I mean, I
Is this your primary business, is inspecting, or do you?
at this point, yes, I was in the, I am a building contractor and a mechanical contractor. Mechanically, the only jobs we're doing right now is commercial kitchens. I'm not a mechanical contractor. I'm a Class A, CAC Class A, so I don't want, because I just, but we primarily do commercial refrigeration and exhaust, like hood systems. I'm like one of the preferred guys for Captive Air. If you guys have heard of Captive Air, it's a big brand in town, and I do a lot of their work. Yeah, I mean, right now, this is my, I've phased out all of the contracting work to primarily just focus on this right now. Being honest with everybody, I mean, this is like my living, I still do a little bit here and there for select customers, but I don't market my services in the other items that I am in.
Can I make a recommendation then? When I worked in Duval County, we had a quality assurance department for our private providers. And I don't know if you have a quality assurance group or if you have staff for it, but I would say work with the building department here and Green Cove as well, and make sure that all your projects come up for anything that's been missed, everything's picked up, and kind of shadow with them for a while. I see you have applied for like the standard inspection license and whatnot. And if you're an engineer and you're moving more into just the inspection area and that whole segment under the Florida statutes, continue to get those licenses, because
Absolutely.
inspection is a different animal, really, than just the education and the professional licensing of an engineer. So it's a little bit different. There are things that quite frankly, they aren't taught to engineers. It's something you learn in the building construction field, in the inspection field. So I would work with the building department and really come hand in hand, because that will help improve you. That will reduce any kind of public harm, complaints, things like that. And that will,
Absolutely,
if you're going to stay in that field,
I do intend to take all of the exams. Unfortunately, sometimes, like I said, I took 2 of them. I've been actively taking classes,
Yeah.
but it is with all the schedule. I have a lot going on my personal life. I have a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old, so
so you don't want to lose your licenses.
no, I need my.
He won't
really
lose
need
his
my
license.
license.
No.
He's gonna be fine, I think.
Yeah.
Chairman, can I
Yeah.
ask a direct question?
Ask him a direct question.
You hired people to complete these other inspections.
Yes, sir.
Did you put them on your payroll?
No, what we did was we NTBO'd all of the jobs to other private providers.
Okay, so we got a new notice building
Oh,
official
yeah,
for each
yeah,
of
and
them.
some of the jobs have been completed, others are, yeah, no, I looked into, that was something we discussed, and I don't have the capacity, some of these guys are, pretty hefty, so they have their own companies, I can't necessarily hire them.
So
But I did look into that. And I am actually actively looking to hire, specific people for specific trades. I think that's the best way to do it. If you have one guy that performs electrical, it does help, and then I can oversee but also, I've been in business for 3 years, so I was doing one inspection a week. I was doing one inspection a month, calling myself a private provider, and now, by the grace of God, we're doing maybe 15 to 20 a day, and I think it is time that I get additional people. 15 to 20 inspections, not jobs, because sometimes people are like, how do you manage to do all that? But sometimes there's 3 or 4 inspections on a job. But I am working my way that route, so.
It'll be good, Rob.
The reason I asked that question is, any duly authorized representative of a private provider is required to be a payroll employee. They've got to be, eligible for, unemployment compensation. So you can't subcontract those inspections.
Correct.
Okay, that's good to know. Any other
That was actually
comments?
something I learned
What's-
during that meeting, because
Okay,
in the past, there were other private providers that have reached out to me to perform certain inspections that they're not. It's happened very rarely, and I think that was added in the last addition to the 2024, 2025. Or has it always been there?
It's been
Yeah.
forever.
So, but yeah, so I mean, that's something now we have to refrain from subcontracting inspection services, so.
okay,
Make a comment, sir?
certainly.
Thank you for coming today. I think, look, you're facing the news of what you got caught on. I do take a different approach from my colleagues up here. To answer your first question, can a PE be a private provider? Yes, as I read that statute last night, about 11 o'clock last night. While I sit up here today as a registered electrical contractor, I also provide all the MEPs. And so when I see this is really, frankly, it's just embarrassing, because that's not ready for pourback.
No, it is not.
Yeah, but you signed off on it. That's it. I mean,
100%.
It's a business decision. And so while you took money that you signed off on it, it's not ready. And so we have tangible monies that are set aside. These guys have to come behind you. We got to sit up here. We got to do all this stuff. And so while there is no doubt that you're educated and it's good business to be in bed with some contractors who you can sign off for, it's frustrating as individual contractors. Mr. Wiggins would not be able to proceed on buildings if he's not passed his inspections.
Absolutely.
I would not be able to proceed. And so I just want to make the statement. I know he's gonna be inspectors and all this stuff like that. You might want to be in the field a little bit. Get out of the books and put the tools on or do something.
Absolutely.
Because that's where you learn these codes. Could I get pretty close on an engineering test? Probably. But there's no way you're gonna go ins and outs and codes and updates and code changes 3 years and it's just,
big
there's just
world.
no way. And so to go from 1 inspection a month to 20 to 30 a day,
15 to 20,
whatever. I mean,
sorry.
right? So I just have to say that for me personally, because this is my livelihood. And I would love to find someone like you in the field and just sign off on it. I mean, I get it, but there's tangible monies that you have made, there's tangible monies that we sit here today. Do you know, who is the owner's name on Lakeshore Drive? Do you know that owner's name?
I mean,
It's
it's
the very
been
last
almost-
case in here.
It's been more than a year and a half at this
His name
point.
is Terry Horan, and he's a pilot, and he did his own construction on his home. I pulled the electrical permit and rewired that. And got the inspections and talked to Rocco every day. I myself love clay and probably will die here. I want to uplift the trade, uplift the industry. And to me, that's not uplifting. So I do recognize you coming today. Whatever the boards decide, they decide. They don't teach you this in the engineering classes.
Nope.
And it's vastly different, vastly different. Thank you.
Very good. Any other comments? Yes.
As of today, can he still be a private provider in Clay County as of today if he gets another client or no? Because I saw in the last email it said you didn't approve it. Is that just flat? He can't be a private provider currently?
Right, when you get to the, you get to the question of the competence on this, being a private provider is different than being an inspector. Correct. Or plans examiner. And they're two distinctly different things. And they, you can have people that are inspectors that do the inspections that are competent and qualified to do them. So could he be a private provider? Certainly. Doing the inspections, moving forward is kind of why we're here. Perfect.
Okay, anything else you want to come up with? Are you thinking, or going to say some more?
You know, my question moving forward, do we, is this something that we would possibly move forward to the Board of Professional Engineers and get their take on the level of competence here? They ruled already that we got a deck statement from them that he can in fact act as a private provider with the license that he's got. And their take on it is if you're acting as a private provider, you can do all of those functions.
I think where the disconnect would be is that, sure, he can do it as an engineer, but he is doing a duty under a different Florida statute. He is not doing a duty under the engineering Florida statute. So where he would come in default is that he's doing inspections, he's doing private provider inspections, but not competently. So it's not necessarily a question of whether an engineer can legally do it. They can, but they have to do it competently. It's the kind of the stay in your lane. As a civil engineer, I don't have a specialty in electrical engineering, so I don't hire myself out to do electrical work. Not even the first one saying, oh, well, I'll learn on the job. If I want to get into electrical, I have to take additional work. I have to work with someone who is competent in that skill set until I am competent. I can't just go out and do it. So the question of, as an engineer, can you do private provider inspections? Yes, he can. That's not our issue. Our issue is the competency in what he is doing under inspections, under private provider Florida statutes.
Okay, and then, so the resolution of this, you're asking, should it go before the engineering board? The engineering board, as you
It would
now
go
mentioned,
under inspection
it
board.
doesn't go to that.
But it doesn't.
Right.
The Board of Professional Engineers regulates the engineers, even though they're doing private provider work. It is specifically precluded from being addressed by the Building Code Administrators Inspector Board. Same with the architects. An architect acting as a private provider goes before the Board of Architecture, not the Building Code Administrators Inspector Board. So the only discipline or the only action can be taken by the Board of Professional Engineers on an
All right.
engineer acting as a private provider.
Okay,
So it's not an option to go to BCAB on that.
all right. Any other comments?
I just have a question.
Want to ask it?
Yes, sir. May I ask a question? through the chair?
Certainly.
Not we per se, but, can Clay County, and I guess where I'm going with this, can Clay still recognize him as a private provider but not accept his inspections?
That is what we are currently doing.
Okay.
We were doing that pending, direction from the appeals board. I am not confident that I could defend that when I have to go to BCAB. I don't know that I can continue to do that moving forward without direction of the board or something going to the Board of Professional Engineers.
I mean, I guess the reason I ask is because I'm not, listen, it is what it is, you got a lot to learn, and I have no doubt that you'll continue to learn it. But I would like for you to learn it, pass these tests, pass these exams, do what you need to do, and then do inspections. Not do inspections while you're learning, and here we go again. That's kind of my thought process. I don't even know if it's able to do that. I mean, you're,
Respectfully, like, you know, in the past 2 months, that's been my goal. I know 2 months may be a short period of time or a long period of time. Just really, I know we keep on referring back to these pictures, and like I said, it is embarrassing to see these pictures. But this is not the way I saw these when I inspected this particular job site. When I went to this particular job site, and I mean, I have here that I went out here on July 28th, 2025. I know Mr. Pat said sometime in August, August 20th, when this job was visited. I
August
mean,
20th is when they
you're
took the
talking
pictures.
about, there was no drywall at that time. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I think I have the right to defend. I wish I had a photo at that time, and maybe I will go
Well,
back.
it's
We take a
probably
lot
all
of
your
photos.
work, you should take
2025.
photos.
We do take a lot of photos. The challenge with photos is you take so many photos, and then now you're going back to look for something, and it's convoluted with.
nah, they got apps for that. They can organize it and
So,
everything. We do it every day.
We did start using company cam recently, like last month, for all of our jobs, and so again, I just on this particular one, and then the one that you physically worked on, the one on Lake Shore, I wrote that letter back in March 2024. That is nearly a year and a half later. I can't really say to what happened since. I don't even know if the job has been finalized out. I think even one of the questions was when I sent in that letter, was that letter and I don't do too many affidavit letters. I'm not in the business of that. I'm in the business of doing NTBOs, and actually, since probably like the middle of this year, I just reject them all because they're too convoluted. You know, you go out there, you observe whatever you observe. Always somebody can observe more than you or less than you. So I'm trying to get away from that gray area, respectfully, but, you know, I know 5 jobs have been presented against me, and none of them hold any more weight than others. I think there's a certain time where a problem, there is no magnitude of how big of a problem is. I take that handicap sign as important as the water heater. And like I said, I want to go back and physically visit that job site and correct it, but I think I have spent time in the field respectfully. There are weeks I put 80, 90 hours just traveling jobs and working on these jobs. I'm not fond of the work, like I said, but I am asking for an opportunity to work. I feel like I worked very hard. I'm not saying I work smart, but I work very hard for this particular right to be stripped away from me at this moment. I did reach out to the Board of Engineers, and I really we are talking about this today. I really wish that I was provided an avenue to discuss this prior to here, other than the fact that I was not allowed to perform inspections. I respect, I guess, there are some policies and procedures for this board and with the county and laws and everything. But this is my first time discussing these. The staff is here, they can speak to that. I did try to find out, if there was anything that was driving this, and the only thing that I understood at that time was, hey, you can't provide these inspections because of I guess we were seeking clarification from the board. I guess we have that clarification. And now I'm asking for my redemption. I wish I had the opportunity on the day of when I went to this job I tried to prepare as much as possible, but as prepared as I am, I could always be more prepared to maybe if I was to provide additional photos or anything of these. I don't have anything with me at this moment, but I didn't get a chance to discuss this with anybody prior to today's setting. I would love to have been able to go to the Lakeshore project and see. I don't know what has transpired since.
All right. That's all right. At the present time, you're stating that the county is not accepting his inspections at this point. That's correct?
Correct, we have not been.
So perhaps when he has completed all of the different tests for licensure into inspections, he could then present that to the county, and then you would then able to reinstate him as a acceptable inspector in the county.
Certainly, if he's got an inspector license, then it's
That would be an avenue that would be acceptable to the county, and therefore it would improve your also your view of all these things as well. Would that sound reasonable to the board?
Through the chair,
Yes.
I that was something I honestly took to heart after the meeting, and I did start that process.
Right.
But that process
That's always
takes
good.
that process takes time. Between the DBPR process, working on these exams, proving the whole application, the costs. Each exam is like $350. There's like 7 or 8 exams that I would be taking. In addition, the cost for the applications. I don't want to go into that, but I really have been hurt just to be here. I'm almost like $25,000 at minimum out of pocket just fixing the damages of not being able to inspect, though I believe that I was able to inspect. Now, if these were issues if we could have met and discussed these issues, I think we would be in a different place, but I never had the opportunity to rebuttal these with the staff, and I had to come out of pocket between the 5 or 6 jobs I had going on at that time just to give them off to others, and then the jobs that I may have been able to take on in the last 6 to 8 weeks that I was not able to.
All right.
I understand, please, I don't want it to be like you need to go and take all these exams, because I feel like I've already earned my right. I'm not talking about competence level, but through licensure. I mean, it is not easy to, you know, go to school, take the PE exam, get the experience, go through that process. I was on the last session of taking the paper exam, you know, I mean, now it's all computer based, not saying it's any necessarily more difficult, but I remember going to the test, okay, and having like a luggage bag, and during the test, I thought I was at the airport, literally, people
Excuse
bringing
me.
reference materials.
Excuse me.
But-
The engineering, professional engineering exam has no relevancy here.
It doesn't, but that,
Okay,
that gives
but-
me the right to perform this realm of
But
work.
the right to perform does not outweigh competency. If you cannot competently do inspections, then you must stop. Or you could forfeit your engineering license as well. Just because you have the right doesn't mean you should, unless you can do it competently. They're mentioning getting the inspection license because that is another whole level of learning. It's out of the Florida Building Code. It's a different skill set than the engineering exam.
But if that idea doesn't appeal, what would you propose? Is there something that you would like to see?
What I would like to see, if you will, is that I get my right back to perform private provider services in the jurisdiction of Clay County. And I would like to, personally, I can't prove that to anybody right now, but in the meantime, I will continue taking the exams. I don't want this to ever come up again in my career, that I cannot inspect, so I'd rather just have that under my realm. And at the same time, I will be much more significantly more diligent. I will be taking extra pictures on the jobs, such that whenever I get subpoenaed or something to a job, this is not what I'm looking at, I'm looking at what I saw. But unfortunately, I don't have that with me right now. And I hope you all trust that I will do that and allow me to have that privilege to go back to work. I mean, I wish like I said, I could always been more prepared and seek maybe reference letters from others and photos and everything, but I don't have that with me. All I have is I'm looking at these photos. I saw these like really, I saw the agenda on Friday, and then I relooked at the agenda and I realized that you could click on it and it will take you to photos and the report.
Right.
So I'm,
Okay.
I wish I had the opportunity to rebuttal this, but here I'm standing against your majesty, and if you will allow me to go back to work. That's all I just want to work. I don't want to scheme. I don't want to take money to perform inspections and not perform them.
So if
I
you
can't
were-
defend myself on that, but if that's the way it seems, that's not the way it is. And I,
Okay. So if you were doing an inspection, I'm just taking it from your side here. If you were to do an inspection and take a number of photographs, would you submit each photograph, the whole list, to the county for their review? And your enthusiasm is not strong on that. I can see that in your reaction.
that's the
Okay.
if that allows me to perform inspections, I will absolutely do that. But I don't think that's a requirement of performing inspections.
No, it's just we would make one.
What our process would be on that, is that the photographs are his photographs for his edification, defense, whatever. Moving forward, what we would be required to do, and, probably the most correct, avenue through the statute is we would go to this job and find these things and just do a stop work order, shut the whole job down until everything is corrected. So, that is probably a significantly less desirable, business plan for the contractor, but that would be the avenue that we would have to take. We go out and
Right.
find code violations, things that are signed off on, doing inspections without plans, any of those kind of things. We just had to shut the job down and be done with it until everything is correct. And then you move on until the next time that happens.
Okay? So if he was to do, I'm just playing that out, if he was to do an inspection, and then when you all go to there to confirm whatever it is, or you do your part, and you find violations, then you would just automatically shut the job down.
It would have to be an actual stop work order
Uh-huh.
that the entire job is shut down.
Right,
And that's, so on these commercial projects, people working in the yard, doing the civil work, all of that, everybody goes home.
that's,
Everybody goes home. And that's really the only other avenue that we would have at that particular point.
so, all right, so how would, at the present time, you are set right now, you just are not accepting him as an inspector in Clay County.
Correct.
That's what
Yes.
you. So, and you're agreeable to taking, if, when he completes all the exams in time and presents those, then he would be reinstated, is that correct?
Actually, if it's
come back to
it's
the
kind of at the pleasure of the board, what happens today, to be perfectly honest with you. If the feeling is that he should be able to continue on while he's gaining licensure, that's the decision of the board, and we can move forward with that. If there's a finding of fact that there was some level of incompetence, and we wanted to forward that to the Board of Professional Engineers, and they could provide that guidance to him, that would be that's kind of the other avenue. That's kind of where we are. We've got one or the other decision.
Okay,
Those are kind of our options at this point.
so the option is to ask the Board of Engineering to offer him guidance?
Right, yeah,
letter of
okay,
guidance.
here's what we got. You're saying that an engineer can be a private provider and do all inspections, plan reviews, everything. He's an engineer and he's a civil engineer, so he can go inspect the 6-story hospital building, everything in the building. That's what they're saying.
That would be a special inspector. It's a different tier.
Well,
and
I-
You
I-
cannot do that.
Right, for most of that, but not all of it, not the MEPs, not any of those kind of things, they're, yes, but, you
yeah, I
use
expect-
absurdity to.
Mr. Chair, is there an alternative to taking all the exams? Is there anything to kind of show competency,
That, other than going to a job and seeing that you're behaving in a competent manner. I mean, we do have plenty of other people that are engineers that are acting as private providers. It's not really a blanket thing. We have a couple right now that we're having issues with. And it's kind of a similar circumstance. It is a specialized field. It is we're kind of an odd bunch of people, to be quite honest with you. The way that we look at buildings when you go in them, is, we had the conversation earlier. I go on vacation and my wife reminds me that I'm on vacation because I'm looking for exits. I'm looking at all of that kind of stuff just out of habit. So, it's a specialized discipline that needs some additional specialized training.
Right,
The laws and rules are different.
Yes, yeah.
My concern is, do we require this of all engineers now, right? Is it a county practice to have them have their inspector licenses,
And again, statutorily, we can't.
Yeah. Statutorily, they don't have to, but if they are working in inspections under the Florida statutes that cover inspections, they have to competently act under that.
Understand, I'm also trying to, the legal hat on, if you have this issue with other engineers now, are you bringing them all, are you able to work it out with them, or are you bringing it all? Does Mr. Maurer have a claim that, Clay County is favoring or unfavoring certain people? right? And so that's, I don't want to get caught in that,
Right.
is what I'm thinking, yeah.
We currently have a pending complaint on another engineer that was acting as a private provider and wrote a letter on a fire repair that the description of his letter wasn't what was in the building.
Mhm.
And we were told he did the inspections with photographs. And for 3 months, we haven't seen any of those photographs to see what they actually looked at.
Mhm.
So that complaint's already been forwarded on to the board because it wasn't an overall, it was a very specific item. So we're probably going.
Oh, you gotta get closer.
Okay. So that's,
So,
So-
so the statute says that the private provider has to notify us 24 hours in advance that they're gonna do an inspection, and they send us the results of the inspection. We have a process where we go behind them sometimes and we do code compliance checks. We're not doing audits, we're going to do code compliance checks. And that would be one thing that we could offer for Mr. Lamar.
Similar
All
to
right,
what we
that
did.
seems like a reasonable solution, therefore he can, we're affecting his livelihood as well as in helping him develop his competences that would be correct, would you not?
Yeah, that would be, but that's at the expense of the county. So, it's not a free deal. But that's something that we do on a fairly regular basis is code compliance checks. And he would, if he was back to inspecting, he would definitely be on the list for code compliance checks.
Okay, all right, that seems like a solution there. So, do we have any kind of, my objective is, when we have board, people, I'm on the probable cost panel for the Board of Architecture, and we have all kinds of cases that come. And our objective is to recognize problems, get them to move into a compliance mode where they're now effectively doing a proper job. And recognize that we're dealing with the livelihood of an individual. There are times when you have to just, I'm sorry, this is not working out because of that. But I would like to see him being able to continue this idea where the county can come with him or come right behind him and make a code inspection would be very helpful, particularly if you were to attend their inspection. I think that would help him learn competence more quickly. So I think that's what I would be in favor of that, of doing it that way. And I think you would be too.
Does the county have the ability to do that for the amount of, are we essentially saying this inspector needs some remediation and we're gonna do it for him? But again, do we do it for him, and then how many other people do we do it for?
right. And
This is a tough one for me.
how many other people do we create a training program for? From my seat, that's what I'm looking at. So I'm gonna take a licensed, competent, experienced inspector, and I'm gonna pay him to train somebody else that I have to give a discount on a permit for him to go charge money to.
Yeah, he's not training a clay employee.
Right.
It'd be for a certain specified period of time. I know that, but that's.
I guess to your question, are we setting the precedent? I mean, I guess what the statute is saying is that at a minimum, PE can perform this at a minimum. But could you create like a clay ordinance that says, in addition to?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
I don't think you can make something stricter
Locally, we can't
influence
supersede
date. I'm not a lawyer.
I don't know. So the suggestion is keep status quo and let the clay officials train him as he goes.
Occasionally, they can come behind him a couple of times. I think they're going to find that he's going to be pretty specific in his responses.
I would say immediately, but as time goes on, it may resort back to status quo.
At that time, he's subject to a complaint against his engineering license.
My one concern on this, I don't know exactly what it is in Clay. I know in Duval County, as a licensed contractor, if I fail 3 permits, I lose my ability to pull permits in Duval County. This is 5 out of 20 to 25 that we know about, and all 5 have issues. That's concerning to me.
Okay,
The fact that I could lose my livelihood with 3 mistakes in Duval County, gone. I don't see why I should be treated different when he's 5 issues that were major issues. I agree, just like the handicap sign, small stuff, not a big deal, but a lot of these are very major concerns, including fire concerns. I don't think we should set precedent that because he comes in, says, I'm sorry, this, that, he may or may not have been aware of it. It opens us up for more PEs to do it. Because I get approached all the time from companies to do private inspections for me. I'm sure you do as well and everything else. It's becoming a very popular thing, and I don't want to basically have it so unregulated that you can do whatever you want and not really get in trouble. And that's my concern about just letting this kind of go on
Okay.
with supervision.
all right,
Can I ask another question?
sure.
How much of this could the contractor be responsible for? You know, if there are dates from when the private provider came in, as he stated, and then the county comes in, could things have changed during that time?
I mean, yeah, you can go change something after inspection was completed. Certainly you can.
Yeah, but
Right.
in these particular cases, does it lend itself that that could be an issue?
Not, pulling visqueen out from under that slab. That doesn't seem realistic to me. The,
I've seen it.
sure, I guess, when you're doing an inspection, it is a bit of a snapshot in time. But, that's every job. Not so much. That's,
I'm glad this is brought to us. This is great. You know, I'm very involved in my industry, right? As it sounds like you guys are too, and we need to elevate our own industry. But I'm trying to figure out a way to help this person. But
you.
but at the same time, right? We do have to hold ourselves accountable, and is he 100% accountable, or could the contractor have been the issue, is where I'm going with this. Not 100% responsible, but I'm just saying, are there some things, and the things that the contractor could have done later, if we took those out, are we looking at things like the handicap sign on the door, right? That's where I'm trying to go with this,
yeah. I mean, ultimately, the contractor is responsible for all of it. The private provider is a subcontractor.
Right.
Is what he is. The GC, you sign up for that every time you sign one of those, that you're the guy.
Right.
If your electrician takes a powder and doesn't get it complete, you gotta pay the other guy to come fix it. So ultimately, the GC is the guy that's responsible for that job, certainly.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I meant for these particular little incidents, you know, these snapshots. Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Yeah.
Through
You have
the
a
chair.
question, go ahead and ask it.
Is there an option to, we have verified that at this moment, you're just not accepting the inspections. Could we delay action to the next meeting? Just to kind of
Sure.
new for
That's
everyone
always
and get our
possible,
bearings
too.
straight and, all right, let's figure out what we got. Because if we delay it for 3 months, yes, it's 3 months for him, but
Better than indefinitely.
better than indefinitely, better than never, better than,
Well, could we have a meeting in 30 days?
we could. Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
I mean, through,
Yes, our regularly scheduled meetings are quarterly, but we can call one as needed, so yes.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
if, through the chair.
Is that, well, is there a motion to do that? Are you making that motion to put this in abeyance for 30 days?
I mean, Chair, I make a motion to delay any action for 30 days, to have be a special meeting instead of a regularly scheduled meeting on this particular, on new business item 2.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, any further discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
If we're going to delay this for 30 days, I've got some things that we need to think about and maybe some answers from the building department. One would be, is there a type of probation period that you have? A little bit more information on a quality assurance, a code check. We called it quality assurance in Jacksonville. And third would be, to Mr. Wiggins' point, is are we gonna treat someone differently, or are we treating everybody the same? And so those 3 points I'd like to address when we come back.
All right.
Will there be like a, is like a discussion, or once there's a motion, you guys vote on it?
Is there, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your.
I wanted just to discuss something. I know you guys put a motion forth.
Okay,
I don't want to
what is the
interrupt.
discussion? We have a motion on the floor, but I'll wait a moment.
It was at my request that we have this meeting. I'm the one that sent the email to request to be here today. And as I mentioned when I came forth, my request was to withdraw, but I didn't want to send out a last minute email to withdraw my request to be here, because my request today was, can a private provider perform these inspection services? At that time, when myself and the building department met, it was, I was advised to seek a declaratory statement from the board, which I did. And I was told that, if you have any grievance, then you can reach out to the variance board. And I reached out to the variance board not to discuss whether my work is acceptable, or I would say acceptable, whether my work is of competency, but rather it was, am I even allowed to perform these inspections?
We've got that. Is there, what is the discussion about?
But because, I just can't afford to delay this for another another month. If, for example, I already got the declaratory statement and I did everything in the capacity that I could in that time period to.
Well, that's beside the issue. The issue is actually, the county was not accepting your inspections. That's
The
basically
county was
the
not
issue.
accepting my inspections because this was prior to any formal or informal audits on the job sites. It was because an engineer could not perform inspections. That is what I was told. I was told an engineer cannot perform inspections unless you have additional licensure through 468. Was, Mr. Pat, remember when we were in the meeting?
Yes.
And I was told that I cannot perform any additional inspections until we have some clarification from the board. So we received clarification from the board about that internally to the building department. Now it's become competency. And I understand,
I see.
but that wasn't, I waited almost 2.5 months or 2 months, if you will, going to sleep thinking that I am like performing work without licensure. But that doesn't seem to be the matter here. Now,
Okay, so
and
that-
that was
I
my,
see your
that was my
subject.
original
Okay.
petition to this variance board.
So,
Now,
yes.
if you will, I'm just, I'm not trying to be greedy, but I'm thinking of myself here, right? You guys are either gonna A, delay this for 30 days. B, I guess, I don't know if I can withdraw my case to the board, right? Because I'm the one that petitioned to be here. So can I withdraw my case? Or, if this is like, I really, I'm just trying to, I don't want to defend myself, but I would, and I say this maybe arrogantly, but maybe I would rather take this to the Board of Engineers and let them decide. If something is done 3 weeks after the fact it was inspected, where does the contractor sit in that position, as Mr. Joe stated? There is a sense of, if a contractor is working off an unapproved plan, and that's the plan I'm provided with, where do I stand in defending myself? Isn't there a sense of responsibility upon the contractor as well. Not that I'm trying to put them on the spot, but really, I think at this point I have to look out for myself. And
you do.
I would hope that you guys could vote. I am, as I mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to withdraw my case because and now no like way of disrespecting anybody, but I felt like this was more of a Board of Engineers dilemma, which I took up to them. And I took that at my own risk because I needed clarification. And I did that. And I you know, I spent almost $3,500 on a lawyer just to tell me that you could do this. And quite honestly, I couldn't afford to have her draft my declaratory statement, so I did it myself. And so now I'm apart from having to spend money to give to other private providers to complete my jobs, because at that time I was told I could not perform the work, not because of a competence level, but because of a statutory challenge. Now here I am 2 months later, and what I thought we were
moved the
discussing
goalposts.
today is a statute dilemma, but really it's caused me a lot of financial harm, and I
Yes.
could respectfully, I just can't wait another 30 days. And I as much as you say, like, I should take additional licensure, but I just need to prove a competence level here. I don't need to prove a licensure. It's not a licensure dilemma. It's just a competence dilemma, right?
Right,
And I mentioned I'm willing to, I don't mind calling Mr. Steve the morning of letting him know the day before and conducting the inspection. I don't want to discount my permit fees as per the statute. I just need to, that's all. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rough or whatever, but.
No, your opinion is correct. It's what it is. We have effectively moved the goalpost. Is what you're stating here. In that your understanding was whether or not you are capable of doing this because of your license. And we're saying, oh, but this is the issue. So that was really not correct on our part.
We recognize, okay, that the Board of Professional Engineers issued their opinion, okay? The statute that we cited was 553-791, which is a section that covers private providers. It's the one that's up here now, 2C, 3. A private provider and any duly authorized representative may only perform building code inspection services that are within the disciplines covered by that person's licensure or certification. Under 468, which is the inspector license, 471, which is the engineer statute, okay? So, under their license or certification, he doesn't have building, he doesn't have any, he has some. The DBPR does not state, I can't go search his license. You go search my license, you can see what I'm qualified to inspect. I can't go to his license and see what he's qualified to do. It's not on there. I can't see any of that. So when we go behind and look for some level of competency, we find that it's lacking. So that's the basis of this, was that section that he needs to be licensed or have a certification in that particular category. That's where the problem stems from this.
Okay.
And that's the basis of our decision originally, was that section of the statute.
Okay.
During the meeting, I was advised that a licensed engineer can perform inspection services only if they are hired by a government entity.
Correct.
And
That's
as
a
part,
provisional license.
correct. And as part of my clarification to the board, I requested, can somebody that is not not working for a government entity, working privately, perform these services? So I don't know.
Okay.
During the meeting, I left like I felt that I was performing unlicensed activity. Not so much, and then there was some, I guess, audits or site visits that were conducted after. And I asked to know like if there was any challenges or issues. I wasn't told anything. I mean, I just came to find out, like I said, essentially Saturday morning. And, you know, I did try to meet, I even reached out to the Clay County legal team. I said, well, if my degree is in electrical and mechanical, right? Could I inspect at least electrically and mechanically? And I was told by the legal team that it is under their opinion that yes, but they would leave that to Mr. Steve. And I never heard back any clarification. That what I was advised is that nothing until we have clarification from the board. So now we have clarification from the board, and you know, here we are, me in front of you guys. I just,
Yeah.
like, I was told to run from like point A to point B, and I did. And now I'm told I need to go to point D or point C. So, okay, I go to point C, and then, you know, can I effectively get these licenses within the next 30 days? DBPR's processing time is like 60 to 90 days. You know, I mean, plus I do need to allow myself to take the exams. I want to, but again, like, it concerns me that I need to take these exams, not because of, more of like, I treat these exams as like continuing education, not so much as a requirement,
Yes,
if you will. And
okay. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Any more discussion?
I know we have a motion, but Steve, if the board were to ask you to allow him to inspect and us look at this at the next scheduled meeting, give me your feedback on that.
Again, we would, if we get a direction to turn him loose, we'll accept his results. We'll do code compliance checks, and if there's a code issue, we're gonna issue a stop work order.
Stop work order on the whole job.
For the job, right, because that's the,
All
that's,
trades.
that's our
Everything.
option, that's
Yeah,
our
yeah.
option at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, that quite frankly is our option.
But this is not, it's not stopping inspections in Duval, it's not stopping Nassau, it's not stopping St. John's. We're just saying in Clay, we gotta figure this out. That's it.
Yep.
And that-
To the chair.
Yes.
If he wants to pull his board hearing, he would essentially still be on suspension because
That's right.
Steve needs a vote. He needs input from us. When I look at this section 3, and it's saying that they must work within their experience. When I look at the Florida Board of Professional Engineers, in our laws and rules, it says we can only work in our competency. His is electrical and mechanical on some computer. There's no building, there's, the framing inspection and all that, and there are life safety issues with the fire, caulk, et cetera, that are not in his skill set. So if we were to vote today, I'm not sure he'd get the answer he likes, because I would say that from the Board of Engineers arena, he's not working within his skill set at this time.
What if we allowed him to do those two areas only?
Mechanical and electrical, those are his skill sets. Engineering-wise,
Right.
that would be up to the building official if he wants to change how or what scope of private provider work he can do.
And again, we had that discussion, and mechanical inspections that were incorrect and ductwork unsupported and open electrical boxes and those kind of things. So while that's within his skill set as an engineer, it's not really a competency from an inspection standpoint.
Yeah.
That was, and again, that was part of the thought process behind these code compliance checks. Hey, if he's out there, he's actually doing it, and it looks okay, we got a couple little things, we'll correct it, we'll move on. That was the thought process when we went out. We actually sat down and had that discussion. All right, go out and look at these. Let's see what he's looking at. If he needs a little help, we'll help. And we go out and we find every job we go to has got serious issues.
Okay. Any more discussion, with the board?
No, sir.
All right, we're calling the question?
We have a motion on the table.
Yes, all right. Unfortunately, we have a motion on the table. We need to deal with that. And if you don't agree with it, vote a no. If you agree with it, vote yay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
And the motion is
Oh, the motion
to
is
table this for a
table this
month.
for
Table for a
30
month.
days. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? I'm a vote
I'm a
for, I oppose also, but how many do we have opposed?
It would just be the two of us.
Just two, and you're in favor of the motion? So it's 3-2, so the motion carries. Okay, that's what it will be.
4-1.
It's
Oh,
3 to
4 to
2.
1?
Both.
3-2.
Yeah, what, Mr. Hall and I both.
Oh, no,
Okay.
yes. Okay, so that's what we've done, that's what we have to deal
Through
with.
the chair, if
Yes.
you may, I mean, I threw out the option of me withdrawing my request of even having the decision, so, I mean, at this point,
This was gonna come up regardless whether you were here or not, on the agenda for the competency issues, I suspect. That's
so
what the
in
rain
30
reason was.
days, basically, we'll be meeting here again.
That's correct.
And do I need to do anything in the meantime? Is there anything I need to bring with me?
What
or-
would be the additional information that we would need? for the
Those three
follow-up?
questions primarily that she
Yeah,
has.
how we're moving forward, how we're gonna handle this. If you have some kind of probationary type program, if you have a quality assurance, code check type program, and if we're treating this differently than other engineers that are doing private provider work, and, you know, hopefully within their competency too, those three, right?
Okay, yes.
There is an audit program that the Clay County Building Department has on their website and everything. I just, maybe, I mean, respectfully,
Okay,
they got the auditing procedure online. There's a form. That's why I specifically asked if I was audited, because I would like to have known what where the issue stood, but I was told there was no audit. You know, I was told that basically there was no official audit. I know that Clay County Building Department went out to my job sites on multiple occasions, but there was no formal audit, so.
The audit is a defined item both in the statute and in our local policy. And the audit has more to do with, are you performing the inspections? Are you submitting your paperwork on time? Those kind of things. It's not a code compliance check. There's another section of this statute that allows the authority having jurisdiction to visit the site as often as necessary to ensure code compliance.
Yes.
yeah, all right, so.
How fast could we get this information? Can you get this to us like in 10 days, 2 weeks, something so that we can mull it over
We
before the
need
meeting?
to consider it. If you
Yeah.
could get it to us
We'll
quickly,
get
it'd
it to
be
you
helpful.
significantly quicker than we did this last one.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else to come up before the board? Any old business? No, none? Then, okay, then we're gonna go to the house. I think we're adjourned. Do we have to vote on adjournment? I don't think we need to. I'm just gonna declare it.